Peace and love, butterflies. Happy Monday. I'm recording this on a Sunday, but happy Monday. When I put this out, it will be the Monday that is right before we go into August and start a new month. Very exciting things. I was just telling my friend that August is giving abundance, and I'm something about abundance in heart, abundance in your freedom and love, and just realizing your liberation and celebration and having a good time. That's what I see for August. So yes, happy almost August. And I'm going to switch it up today. We're going to do the affirmations first, the meditative experience first, and then I'm going to get into some backstory. I'm going to take us to church. I definitely went to church today online, and I feel like I have a pastor's spirit. So yeah, let's get into these affirmations. Of course, I would love for you, and I encourage you to find yourself in a quiet environment where you can focus on a mental and spiritual and emotional level, and you can bring yourself to physical stillness. Or I was like, what y'all doing outside? Y'all loud? Oh my goodness. But yes, bring yourself to physical stillness in a place where you can focus emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So whether you're sitting crisscross applesauce, whether you are lying down or sitting in a chair, make sure that your spine is elevated. Make sure that your chest is open. And we're going to take a few grounding breaths. And I really just want you to do it slowly. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. So join me in a grounding few breaths. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Ashe, gratitude. I pray you feel even more peace and calm and relaxation after those 3 breaths. So let's get into these affirmations. And I also feel called to pray. So we're going to do that as well. Actually, let's do that first. Thank you, God, for bringing us into this moment and for purposefully, intentionally, and with so much love bringing us into existence. Thank you for everything that went into that. Thank you for this awareness that we have of ourselves and of our growth and of our missions and our purpose and our rights as well to just be and live in that. Thank you for this recording. Thank you for this episode. Thank you for this podcast, this platform, this sacred and safe space to share, to grow, to connect, to be heard, to be seen, and to be understood and overstood. Thank you for all the messages that you are going to give to us today through this podcast episode and through this platform. And I just give thanks and praise to you. And I pray that every ear that this reaches and touches, it also touches their heart and touches their spirit and moves them more into their light and more into their purpose and more into peace, gratitude, and presence. We give thanks. We give so much thanks for the present moment and for all that you've done and all the times you've shown us grace and shown us true love. And I pray that we can practice those things in our everyday life. So thank you for this episode. Thank you for these affirmations. And thank you for these messages. We love you. Ashe. Amen. Awesome. So feel free to repeat after me. I only did 3. I am getting stronger. Moment to moment. Praise to praise. Release to release. God holds my hand. God holds my heart. God holds my mind. I am so in love with myself. I am so in love with my dreams, visions, and goals. I am so in love with all my what? I am so in love with all of my potential, accomplishments, and growth. I am so in love with all of me. Let's do it again. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Oh. I am getting stronger. Moment to moment. Praise to praise, God. Release to release. God holds my hand. God holds my heart. God holds my mind. I am so in love with myself. I am so in love with my dreams, visions, and goals. I am so in love with all my potential accomplishments and growth. I am so in love with all of me. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Oh, one more time, y'all. I am getting stronger. Moment to moment. Praise to praise. Release to release. God holds my hand. God holds my heart. God holds my mind. I am so in love with myself. I am so in love with my dreams, visions, and goals. I am so in love with all my potential accomplishments and growth. I am so in love with all of me. Ashe, ashe, ashe. All right, I'm going to put the phone down and trust that y'all can still hear me greatly. Thank you for joining me with those affirmations and those truths. And now we're just going to get into some backstory. I'm going to share how those affirmations came to be and some things that I've been going through and growing through personally, and the messages I got from the sermon today as well, because they all tie together. So the theme for this episode is abrupt change. And I love how like in alignment I be, and how just like much synchronicity happens in my life on the daily basis. It's just such a magical thing to experience when you go through things and you become conscious of things, and then you're in situations where you find yourself like, oh snap, like I was just talking about that, or I was just this, or I was just that. And not only do you get a reiteration or, reflection of what you said, but you get more messages. And that's what was happening with the sermon. So like I was in a class a couple of weeks ago, and there's a video of this on my page, on the Imani the Superstar page. So if you follow that, you'll see a video of me in pink shorts with 2 puff balls, and I'm in like this studio, and I'm talking to one of my students, and I'm telling her how change happened very abruptly in my life, and how I had we want change to be easier. We want to kind of glide through it, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of walk through it. But I felt like the change I was growing through and experiencing at the time was like an eviction, like not even in a 30-day joint, like you have 24 hours to get the fuck out, like, you know what I'm saying. It's like that's what it felt like to me. And it's crazy because that's actually something I experienced recently, and not being evicted in like a legal way or nothing, but like being evicted in a way of like I couldn't stay where I was anymore because it just wasn't emotionally or mentally safe for me anymore. And it also just wasn't a suitable situation physically either. So it was like, okay, I have to go. And my life got turned around very like before my eyes in a lot of ways, emotionally, physically, romantically, energetically, like everything just kind of like flipped upside down on its head. Very much so a tower moment, you would say. And so I experienced that. And so that's kind of what I was referring to, those experiences when I was talking in the video. And again, just talking about how, you want it to be easier sometimes, or slower, or gradual, but it's like, it don't be. And it'd be like, you got 24 hours to get the fuck out. Like you can't even take everything with you. And, you wind up finding out that that's for the better. But yeah, I was struggling with the aftermath of that kind of experience. And mind you, it's been a nice amount of months since, things have like that tower moment happened. But of course, there's still the debris. You still have to clean things up. You still have to let go of whatever that tower meant to you. Or at least transmute it and allow for there to be new. But there's debris, there's rubble, there's destruction that you have to face and have to clean and cleanse and get rid of things and reorganize. and then you can try to start to build. And sometimes there's a long period of like, well, what the hell am I even building now? You know what I'm saying? Like there's just things that you don't expect that take longer than we realize. After a tower moment, you don't just start building. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes before you even start cleaning up, you sit in it. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things, there's so many parts to the process and the story that you might not expect that actually might take longer than you wanted to, or that you realized, or that you thought it would. And so yeah, in the sermon, it was a live joint on YouTube, and it was TD Jakes, I believe, and he was saying how the theme was snatched, and I was like, this is wild, because one, I have a song called Snatched, but two, he was talking about how God snatches you out of something. It's like you don't have time to grab your pack up your couch and pack up your dresser, grab your icebox, different things like that. It's like you gotta pack a duffel bag and get the fuck, like, you know what I'm saying? And he was just saying, like, when he was saying it, I'm like, as soon as he started, I'm like, oh wow, this is wild, because I was just talking about this, like this feeling of like being evicted, this feeling of like immediately, urgently, like things are changing right now. And so he was affirming that for me, that like that's the chapter that I was in. And then he also was talking about how, hold on, because I almost lost my train of thought. He was saying how, sometimes your environment changes, but you still have the stench from this is how he explained it. You still have the stench from where you at, and from where you just were. So you have to change your clothes. You know what I'm saying? You have to change your smell. Like there's things you have to change. When he said that, I was like, that's freaking wild, because I was just on the phone with my aunt, and I was telling her how I feel like I'm in a new environment, and I feel like a lot about my life has changed, but I feel a little bit stuck, because I still feel mentally, emotionally, and like sometimes energetically or spiritually, like even though like where I was, even though I'm not there anymore, it's hard for me to like feel completely like I'm going. It's almost like you could take the girl out the country, but you can't take the country out the girl. Or you could take the girl out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever heard those expressions? It's kind of like that, where it's like, okay, everything is new. I'm looking around me. There's nothing that necessarily reflects on the exterior level, where I just was. But in my heart, I'm still feeling that. I'm still attached to that lifestyle. I'm still attached to those habits. I'm still grieving them. And I was explaining to my aunt how I feel like I'm not necessarily trying to go back to that life, but I'm also not necessarily like feeling like I've fully moved forward. Am I trying? Yes, because I do different things. I live differently. I have different commitments, different boundaries, different beliefs, different practices and rituals. But somewhere in my heart, that old life is still keeping me feeling stuck in a way. And so, when he was talking about, you got to change your clothes and change your stench, I was just saying to my aunt and to one of my mentors how I feel like I'm physically changing, and like habits, yes, and like on every level I do feel like I'm changing, but on an emotional level I do still feel like I haven't accepted and moved on from certain things. And so he was affirming that, and it's like, what do you expect when you were snatched out of something? You know what I'm saying? Like you were snatched out of it. You didn't have time to process, time to make up your mind. Like when everything turned upside down, it wasn't by my own doing. It wasn't by my own decision making. It was literally like out of my control. And all I could do was just get my shit and move on. You know what I'm saying? Like on so many levels, on a financial level, on a business level. It was just like, when I tell y'all everything from all angles, it was just like things just completely switched. And I was and then the new space I was in was traumatic. And then I made it to where I'm at now. You know what I'm saying? But I went through after the tower moment, I still went through trauma after that. And then I ended up here. And so it's just like, there's still a lot of processing that has to be done. And so that sermon was very affirming for me. And he went on to talk about how when God snatched you, you were burning. And if you would have been left there any longer, you wouldn't have made it. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have lasted. And I genuinely believe that. Like, I feel like the situation I was in on a lot of levels, I was burning, and I wouldn't have, if that shit would have went on any longer, like I really might not have made it. And I remember actually saying that to someone, like being like, if I stay here any longer, I don't know if I'll be able to undo some of this damage. And I don't know if I'll be able to really like ever like leave this situation, like leave this mindset, like leave this mindset, leave this relationship, leave this these circumstances, like, you know, leave this belief system. Like if I choose to stay in this moment, like stay in this environment, I don't know if I just don't know. And, you know, so I had to go, you know what I'm saying? Like it became like I had to. And so when I'm thinking about, you know, what he was saying, I'm like, and the fact that, you know, he was saying like God snatched you and you were burning. And if you would have stayed there any longer, like, yeah, this would have been ashes basically. Hold on, y'all, excuse me. I feel like I require some water. But yeah, I feel like that's true. And then that's going back to my point about loving how aligned I be and how just like the synchronicities just be there and I really be tapped in, because I had wrote a song a few days ago and I forget what it genuinely was about, but I remember it was about like letting go. And then at the end of it was an original, but I started picking up on the melody of Usher, Let It Burn. When feeling ain't the same in your body, don't want to, but you know, gotta let it go, cause the party ain't jumping like it used to, even though there's let it burn. My cycle is on and me singing just started making me bleed. Wow, that was interesting. So that feels affirming for me, releasing. And he literally says, like, let's look at those lyrics for a second. He literally is saying, when the feeling ain't the same in your body, don't want to, but you know, gotta let it go. Da-da-da-da, right? Cause the jumping like you used to, even though there's a let it burn. Then the next part, let it burn. Deep down, you know what's best for yourself, but you. And then whatever it is for you, right? Whether it's you hate the thought of her being with someone new, or you are scared of what's going to come for yourself, you know, moving on from this business deal or this career path or this relationship, romantically or platonically or familial, you know, these habits, what you know, how hard it's going to be to break them, the struggle you're going to have to go through, the challenges. It's like, you know, afraid of whatever. And those lyrics really hit, but I was making the point of the fact that I was talking about letting it burn. And then and then he was talking about being on fire. I was also I was recording myself, and I didn't put this out because it just was, I was, you know, name dropping. I was, you know, doing a lot of things that I wouldn't do on a podcast. So like, I kept it to myself, but there was a point I was talking to myself and I was channeling from my higher self. And I feel like it's multiple versions of your higher self. I feel like it's not your highest self. I feel like it's not just one. And that just came to me because I have a version of my highest self that is very, like I have one that's very calm, very pristine, very graceful. Then I have another one that's very fiery. She's very fiery and she's very like not afraid to like say things that makes you think she's in her ego, but she's not. It's just the facts of the situation. And I think people blame a lot of when we say certain shit that's just real shit, or it comes off aggressive or rude, or it can be validating. Like we're almost afraid to validate ourselves. Like validating ourselves feels like we're living in our ego, when I don't think validating yourself is a bad thing, especially when you've had a whole life of people invalidating you, which then taught you to invalidate yourself. I just don't think there's anything wrong with validating. If something is facts, it's facts. And I feel like there's a part of me, there's one of my versions of my highest self where she just be spitting facts and it just be like, oh, well, you know, you almost don't want to believe it because it kind of makes you puff your chest up a little bit. But sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes you really got to be like, that was genuinely just facts. Like she's not talking shit. It's not coming from a space of ego. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's something I've been having to learn and really study and grapple with and practice in this chapter of my life. Is like, when am I just afraid to validate myself? Like, you know, like we say, oh, that's you in your ego and that's this and that's that. But it's like, or is it just self-validation? Or is it just the facts of the situation? And the facts of the situation just happen to work in my favor and just happen to make me feel good and feel like that bitch. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I have to diminish that? Or why does that have to be a bad thing? But anyway, so I was talking to that version of my highest self. Well, she was coming out and she was just saying like, this is what she said without getting into too much detail, but she was like, I'd rather watch you bleed. I'd rather watch you bleed. I'd rather watch you break your fucking limbs. And I'd rather watch you build this shit brick by brick with your blood, sweat, and fucking tears, building towards this new life, than watch you die going backwards. Then watch you find death going backwards. And that's some real shit. That's some real shit. I'd rather watch you bleed and go through what feels at the time like suffering Do you hear me? Than watch you die going backwards. And then she said, because you know why? It's certain death. That's what I see. When I see you going backwards, I see certain death. For sure. 100%. No doubt about it. Changes you cannot fucking undo. Or that will at least take you way fucking longer. Put you through way more pain and kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but on the other side of that blood, sweat, and tears and brick by brick that you're cultivating to build towards this new life, keyword, I see life. I see light. I see it getting easier. I see you liberating your mind. I see you healing your heart. I see you being aware of and conscious of and walking in the truth that you are whole in your spirit. I see all of that. Even though you got to bleed to get there. You got to bleed to get there. There's some wounds. There's some gashes. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather see that shit. That right there is some fucking love. That's love. That's love. And I'm not supporting the whole tough love thing, because that's not what that feels like to me. Because the love isn't what's tough. It's learning the lesson that's tough. It's creating the new life, reprogramming yourself. It's the letting go, the releasing, the detachment. That's the tough part. The love is the I believe in you part. Is the I rather see this happening because I believe in you and because I know what's on the other side of that, and I know it's something that's good for you and that serves you and supports you. It's the love exists in the I want what's best for you. I require what's best for you. I require the best of you. That's love. There's nothing tough about that, because love just exists. It just is. Strongest shit out here. It just exists. It just is. Love has no control over whether your journey is fucking hard or not. That's just the journey. That has nothing to do with the love. And it's not love when it's selfish. It's not love when it's self-sabotage. Granted, you can love and make mistakes or, shit like that. I'm not saying that. You can love yourself and still self-sabotage, because we're all learning. But I'm saying the push to like this, the I'm going to let you go back to something that's going to kill us. That's not love. It's just not. Not saying love can't exist in that, but lust is overshadowing it. And I don't mean lust in a sexual way. Lust for whatever it is that whatever the habit was, whatever the ritual was, whatever the struggle that was supposed to teach you lessons that you don't want to learn. So you go back to that struggle, that pain, that mediocrity, that lie. You go back to that lie, the lie you tell yourself, the lie you tell that person or others. The lie you try to tell to God and your ancestors and your spiritual team, but you can't lie to them. You know what I'm saying? That lie that you try to live. That's not love. Lying and love can't exist in the same space. You can't lie about love. You can't lie about love. And I think we try. We want love so bad sometimes that we'll fabricate some shit to feel like we're getting something close to it, close to the real thing. Like if we could just get a empty clone of a shell of it, we're willing to lie. But our highest self, she knows that the real thing is out there for us. Whether it's the love of that career, the love of that passion, of that relationship, community, that love of how you feel about yourself, that love you feel in God. The real thing of it is out there, and she sees it. He sees it, they see it, we see it, right? And if you're existing in a lie, it means you don't see it. You don't believe in it. You don't believe in the real. Or you're afraid of what you're going to have to grow through to get to the real. So you rather settle for this. And that shit burns you. Burns you up. I mean, this shit burns too. Growing, that shit burns. But it burns because it's sour. It doesn't burn because it's toxic. There's a difference between something being sour or bitter and something being toxic. Some of the best herbs for you are bitter. But toxic? Nah. That's not the type of burn we want to experience. You feel me? So TD Jakes was talking about being burned. Being burned. And God snatching you out as you were burning. And then, to overarch this whole, not conclude, but like briefly put everything that we're talking about so far before I meet my next point, is just like change happening abruptly. And you having no choice but to be evicted. And then you having to deal with the fact that you're in a new space, but do you feel like a new person? And if you do, is that fun for you right now? Is it hurting? Do you feel stuck? Do you feel proactive? Do you, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel celebratory? Because all of that is valid. But then we moved into a space in the sermon of gratitude. Being grateful that we were snatched out. Because part of us knows, I was complaining, not complaining, and I don't think complaining is a bad thing, because sometimes some shit hurts, and you gotta let that be the real thing. Like, it hurt, you know what I'm saying, to be evicted, to be completely, being snatched sometimes gets hurt. If God pulling your fucking collar, you might hurt your neck a little bit, you know what I'm saying, different shit. Also, the damage that was done while you were burning, it's still there sometimes. You gotta heal that. So it's like, it hurt, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. Yes, and, because it isn't a but. Yes, and there's gratitude. And so we moved into a space of gratitude for being snatched from that burning building. Because during that tower moment, God could have left you in that fucking tower. But you were snatched out of it to watch it crumble. So it didn't crumble you. You know what I'm saying? Like, watching it go down and be bombed and explode and be struck by lightning is hard. But at least you're not in the building. You left with your life. You left with God's hand on your shoulder. You know what I'm saying? You left with insight, with discernment from those lessons, So it's like, you left with a fucking lot. More than I feel like we realized. And, there was just gratitude for being snatched, because if you were left in there one more second longer, that some of that fucking harm might have been irreversible. So I finally, I've been moving in a space of gratitude. I've been giving gratitude for a lot of the things that at first were giving me challenge. For example, being single. I wrote an affirmation a few days ago that I've been saying to myself out loud and in different spaces and in my solitude as well. I give gratitude for my singlehood. I give gratitude for my singlehood, and I give gratitude for my celibacy. Because getting over a relationship is difficult. It's difficult. It has been difficult for me. As I am aware of the lessons and so much that I have to be grateful for in this new chapter of my life, and so many things that relationship taught me. And I know that if it was meant to be, it would be. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it wasn't meant to be. And so I give gratitude for being in my alignment and things. But I got specific. I give gratitude for my singlehood, because I know that this is serving me. This is where I'm supposed to be right now. Which feels better than being in something you're not supposed to be in. Because that's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. And that shit gave me the worst anxiety ever. Anxiety, sadness, deep sadness, loss, feeling lost, you know what I'm saying? Feeling incomplete, feeling out of place. And that feeling is the worst. and you feel that shit every day. And so it's like the struggle that I'm feeling mentally and emotionally now, it hurts. But in comparison, it's like I'd rather be here. I'd rather be doing that brick to brick work than be laying in the grave. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I give gratitude for my singlehood. I give gratitude for my celibacy. Sometimes celibacy is fucking annoying, and I get that. It's annoying, especially when you have options. I'm not saying you got to go back and have sex with your ex. You feel me? That's not what I'm saying. But you got options. You got new options that you probably tested out. You know what I'm saying? That you kind of like, okay, cool. But it's like, for me personally, it just was like, I intentionally am choosing to be celibate, like fasting. So, if I decide I don't want to be celibate during the new moon phase, then that's cool. But during the full moon, especially when my period first comes on, and, I got to spend time with my yoni and shit like that, I'm intentionally celibate during that phase, during the full moon leading up to the new moon. There's just things I got to release, and I give gratitude for that. I give gratitude for that awareness and that knowledge and that discernment and strength to even say I'm going to do something like that and have my reasons for it. So, I give gratitude for my singlehood. I give gratitude for my celibacy. Giving gratitude for the things that are challenging, but that are good for you. Just giving gratitude in general. And then when it's shit like that, it starts to show you why. It gives you more and more reasons to be grateful for what you're growing through. Gives you more reasons. For me personally, it's giving me more reasons to be grateful for singlehood. Like, I genuinely, beyond just saying it and feeling it, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing why. I'm seeing examples and reasons and things. I can be like, you know what? Yeah, that's why I'm grateful for where I'm at. And it helps. And I think the past few days I've been helping myself. I've been praising God. I've been listening to gospel music and just like crying. And I don't even know why I'm crying sometimes. I just feel moved to cry, and I've been letting it happen. It's like today, I was finally like, when I listened to that song by Kiara Sheard and Tasha Cobbs, Spirit, or, where they're talking about with your spirit, God, and breathe on me and things like that. And it's just like, I finally listened to that song for the first time in 4 to 5 days or whatever, where I didn't feel that heaviness when I was crying, because it was a heaviness I just couldn't explain, but I knew it had to do with transformation. I'm like, I'm just transforming. I know that's what it is. Today, when I listened to it after church, it was like, I didn't feel that heaviness. I felt gratitude, I felt liberation, and I felt joy. And I was just like, wow, okay, cool. Like, I knew I was changing, and I still am. I'm not saying this is the peak of it or this is the final part of it, but it's just like, okay, I can feel it. And I finally felt good about it. And, last night I had a trigger, and I had an explosive moment, and I'm so glad I had that explosive moment. I'm so glad my friend was there to just receive and just listen to me. And I could explode, and I could talk about my feelings, and, because I had a trigger, and, I let it out. And I've been releasing in a lot of ways, whether it's me talking very aggressively, snapping, whether it's me crying, whether it's me dancing, whether it's me writing music about it, journaling about it, this transformation I'm going through. And it's more than, to just be clear, it's more than just the ending of a relationship. That's not even what I'm talking about anymore. Like, yes, that's a huge part of it, and it still is. But everything from my decision to be celibate, my decision to be single, my decision to try to figure out what it is I desire right now, and be clear of what I'm going through each moment, like what this chapter is titled. You know what I'm saying? I like to know while I'm in it what the theme of it is, even if I don't know all the ins and outs, So I feel like right now I'm in a space of learning. This is my learning chapter, and I'd like to go back to school. I keep saying that. I would like to go back to school, but I'm becoming a learner intentionally in a lot of different ways. And that's my chapter right now, as I'm transforming to learn, to put myself in spaces to learn in the way that best serves me. And so anyway, I'm giving gratitude for the things that once felt like, when you start to feel like you hate something, or you dislike something, or you despise something, or you wish this didn't and you wish that didn't, give gratitude for it and let it change your perspective, and then ultimately change on the external physical level too. You start to get examples. So, I give gratitude for my singlehood. I give gratitude for my celibacy. I give gratitude for my moon cycle. I give gratitude for the triggers I experienced that brought me to change for the better. I give gratitude for the lessons and the blessings that have come my way from accomplishments and from mistakes. things like that. So to wrap this up, I would just like to share that if things changed abruptly in your life, give thanks for it. And that's hard. Being evicted is not fun. Actually being evicted from you, no. Yeah, not fun, very traumatizing. There are things that are very traumatizing, right? God is always saving us from things, from something. Blocking something. If things are bad, they could have been worse. And that's not to diminish anybody's experience, but it's just a perspective I'd like to offer. And give gratitude for the things that are challenging you. I give gratitude for... I already told y'all what I give gratitude for, and I'm grateful that I was snatched. I'm grateful that I was saved. And God swooped in and did what needed to be done. And put it in His hands. You feel me? I'm grateful for that. I have gratitude for that. And I'm going to stop complaining about how abrupt it was and urgent and hard it was, and give gratitude that I was snatched at the moment I was snatched, because who knows what would have happened to me if I wasn't. Even in conclusion, I'll say with the affirmations and me speaking on, hold on, let me grab the notebook. Getting stronger moment to moment, praise to praise, release to release. I'm saying that because I've been praising God. I feel like each time I was doing that, I was getting stronger. Every time I cried, I was getting stronger. Every moment I was getting stronger. And then when I talk about, I feel like the food I made is starting to hit me because I'm getting itis. When I talk about, God holds my hand, holds my heart, and holds my mind, I just pray that God keeps my mind. Keep my mind. Keep my mind on you. Keep my mind on you. And keep my heart on you. Keep my hands in your work, the work that you want me to be in. I encourage and empower myself to fall in love with myself and my goals and my accomplishments and my journey and everything that has to do with me. I pray that this served y'all, of course, always. That's my prayer. And I kind of want to start doing this on video. I want to start making these videos and, episodes, yes, but videos for YouTube. I feel like that would be a great start. I don't have nope, not even going to say that. Yep, I'm going to start making the videos for this. Thank y'all so much for listening and being a part of this with me. And I pray that this gave you a perspective that will serve you and support you in your healing and in your growth and in your moving on and moving forward. Because I feel like I'm on a new level of moving forward. I feel like I've always been moving on and moving forward. But from that situation with that tower moment, but I feel like more I'm starting to really reach a new level of moving on and moving forward, and I'm grateful for it. So especially after the trigger I had last night, I'm like, wow, back in the day that would have went so different. I had an explosive moment and it was actually helpful and actually resulted in me feeling very proud of myself and very good, because it affirmed that I'm really still in that I was being burned and now I'm burning shit. Now I'm the one doing the burning, but not in the sense of a hurt people, more so in the sense of I was being consumed by the fire, and now I am the fire. Now I am the flame that gets to decide if I'm going to illuminate, if I'm going to warm, if I'm going to burn, and if I'm going to disintegrate something, not myself, other things, other situations that don't serve me. You know what I'm saying? No weapon formed against me shall prosper type of energy. It will be burned down. Nicki Minaj said in her gospel song with Tasha Cobbs, what is the damn line? I breathe success in and out my lungs, got the power of life and death coming out my tongue. But she talks about the angel shooting the devil up and just all types of shit. And that's how I feel. Very accomplished, very victorious, very grateful, very protected. So yeah. Thank y'all for listening. Again, I do pray that this served you again. And until next time, fly high, butterflies. Mwah.